Well, ultimately, you get let out, and you're wearing an ankle monitor right now?
Right now.
So you're on parole, or?
No, I'm on house arrest.
Aha. For how long?
2 years.
2 years. Okay, so you have to wear the ankle monitor for 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And during that time, if you violate, then you go back for how long?
Well, that's to be seen.
Aha. So up to the judge.
Yeah, but I ain't gonna violate.
Got it.
I be goddamn if I'm going back. You know,
Right.
see, this stay in jail here, I done been to jail a lot. And this stay in jail here hit different. Like, I really seen the degrading part of it. This was the first time that I really seen it. Like, that jail shit for suckers. I don't give a damn. A nigga think that's for real niggas if they want to. That's shit for suckers.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I did a couple days and I said, man, I'm done. I'm never going back
Yeah.
here. There's nothing to brag about. There's nothing cool about it. Being in a cage, having to ask a man when you can go to the bathroom, when you can eat. There's nothing fly about that. But now you're out. You have an ankle monitor. You're still living in Jacksonville because of your situation. Can you move?
Well, I don't stay in Jacksonville.
Right, but you're still in Florida in the same general area.
Right, yeah, but I don't live in Jacksonville though.
Got it. Do you plan on moving out of Florida completely?
Yes. Matter of fact, I'm waiting on my place out of Florida should be ready like January 1st.
Good. That's great. That's great. Because unfortunately, because of the situation and how high profile this whole situation is, people know who you are, and you're going to be labeled as someone who snitched on his own son.
Right.
And because of that, have you been getting death threats?
Hell no.
Really?
Hell
I
no.
get death threats
Man,
online.
well, if you want to consider a stranger online saying he'll be dead by this week, he'll be this, he'll be that, man, them guys are hilarious, man. Like,
Right.
if
Yeah,
that's
I get those
if
all the
that's
time.
considered a death threat, then but for somebody, man, listen, it's been a war over my soul since the day I was born. God versus the devil. So I ain't really moved by what people saying or what people saying they gonna do. You know, I ain't really moved about that because who? What, just a randomly person's gonna do it? Like, man, these niggas out here the new hoes, man. They, you know, I ain't really. I ain't.
Have you ever had anyone approach you about the situation in a hostile manner?
No.
Even in jail?
Yeah. I got in a couple fights in jail about this.
Okay.
And I beat some ass too. And there ain't no cap. Everything in jail be recorded. Beat some ass, young dudes too. Ain't no guns in jail. You got them hands and you got them knives.
Well, look, Abdul, you took responsibility for what you did, and ultimately you sat in jail for a long time. I think the situation could have worked out a lot differently. I think that Ksoo should have taken the plea deal and gotten you out. I think it's very easy for everyone who's sitting at home watching Netflix to say, if that was me, I would have not said nothing, and I would have done 100 years, and I would have made sure my son is okay. But realistically, when you look at the situation, had you not cooperated, I think that same thing would have happened with your son blowing trial because of the overwhelming evidence of the situation.
Right.
So now you don't say anything, you're doing life in prison, and your son is doing the same amount of time. right?
Right.
And it's easy to say that when you're sitting back and you could type up stuff, you could say stuff, it's easy. But when you're really sitting in jail and you're facing the rest of your life in prison over a situation that you were thrown into that you had no idea about, because, we had talked about this on the phone the other night. If they had called you and said, listen, we were just involved in a murder and we're now at this old white lady's house holding her hostage.
Right.
Can you come get us? I don't think you would have just gotten in your car and gotten him.
I wouldn't have. I can't say I would have made a way for him, but I would have stayed away from that situation as far as possible.
Right. Any sane person would have.
Right.
Yeah, man, look, it's a tough spot. I've got a son. If my son called me and said, I was just involved in a murder, help me out, I would say, we got to go turn yourself in. That's what I would have done.
Yeah.
I would have said, I'm not involving myself in the situation. I'm not going to try to get you out of the country or give you money because now I'm wrapping myself up into a murder. I'm going to get you a lawyer, the best I could afford. I don't care how much it costs. I'll spend whatever it takes, but I'm not going to put myself into the situation of yours.
Man, let me
because
correct.
At the end of the day, that's a murder. There's no statute of limitations for it. And with technology these days and so forth, it's a hell of a hill to get over.
Correct.
So I'll help you, but I'm not going to involve myself. That's what I would have done.
Correct.
And if I would have been in the situation where you were at, when I picked those boys up and they jumped in my car and they said, we just left a hostage situation, I would have said, we got to go to the police or you guys got to get out my car. One of the two.
Right.
One of the two. I'm not going to help you guys get away. I'm not tying myself into a home invasion, hostage, murder, and so forth. That's what I would have done. You and I are different.
Right.
So you said you wouldn't have, you had the chance to take him to the police station, but you were not going to do that. I would have done that.
Right.
That's just me. And I'm just keeping it real with who I am.
Right.
And I think a lot of people who are criticizing you and saying all that, I don't think they're keeping it real with who they really are.
Right. And see, that's the thing too, nobody's living their own life now. Everybody living their life for somebody else. Because how do you know what you gonna do in a situation you ain't been in?
Yeah.
Period. I don't care who you are. How can you say this is what I'm gonna do in a situation? Man, I done heard women say, I ain't doing that to my child, but you're telling the motherfucker at your job to keep your job. So how the fuck you gonna tell me what you gonna do facing a life sentence, then don't wanna go in? Man, jail is a whole different thing now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a whole different ball game now. Like, man, I done seen so many people, man. I watched some shit the other day and these dudes say how I raised them for the streets and then raised them to tell on them. Bro, dudes don't know me as a daddy. Dudes don't even know me from the streets. I used to always wonder how these guys in the street, these young guys who my son that was going through it with, want to hurt me. Number one, when I was in the streets, they wasn't born. Number two, by the time they got in the streets, I was in prison. How you even know? But that be them older dudes in them younger dudes' ear. Because they feared me. So that's how that's gonna go. See, what people don't understand is Ksoo and Crazy K, they get their name and shit off of me. They build their own shit up. It ain't nothing that I'm bragging on, but it's what it was, not what it is. That's how that went. I don't condone, man. Like I said, I never participated in a crime with them.
Well, Abdul, I appreciate you coming in and telling your side of the story. Ultimately, you approached me to get in front of this thing.
Right.
And you wanted to clear your name and say the whole story. And ultimately, you didn't duck any questions. You addressed everything. And it's just a very tough situation to be in, man. Like, I don't think there's any father in the world that would want to switch places with you in this particular case.
I think I hey, I guarantee you, and in no disrespect to anybody though, but I guarantee you a father that they son and they gotta go talk to that dirt out there, they would change spots with me.
Mm.
You know, it's a tough spot, but at the same time, once you look at them boys' face, my little kids, you gotta do, at some point in your life, man, you gotta grow, you know, and you know, I feel like it would have been a loss all the way around the board. You know, nobody ain't getting no win right here. I understand that. But I feel like it would have been a loss all the way around the board.
I agree. I completely agree. Well, Abdul, man, I appreciate you coming in, sharing your side of the story. I appreciate your nephew coming in also, who's now in a wheelchair over the situation. It's just a tragedy overall, man. There's no winners in this at all. It's just losers all across the board. Everything from people losing their life to people getting life in prison to mothers grieving, fathers grieving, brothers, sisters, friends. It's just sad overall. And I'm just hoping that people will look at the situation as something that they shouldn't do.
Right.
Here's what not to do. Here's how rap beef escalates. This is how, when people start getting shot and killed, you can't come back from it. You can't work things out.
No.
And killing brings more killing. And killing then brings the police, and brings the feds, and brings the DAs, and brings the headlines. And when you're talking about rappers and high profile people, that's when the police really start to pay attention. Because in a situation where your car got shot up, the police don't care about that situation. Two car full of people shot up a car 100 times and nobody got caught.
Right.
Whereas, well, now you got this guy Ksoo, he's a rapper, he's got some buzz. Well, now we're going to pay attention to this. And now we're going to put all our resources behind it.
Exactly.
Police pick and choose, man. Listen, I have police security that I use, and we talk about this. We talk about how they'll have their little weekly meetings, and the chief of police will have all the news headlines on the board, and they'll say, we're going to put, resources behind this one, and this one. Because if it was Ksoo, the bus driver, no one would care.
Right. You know,
No one would care.
I was told one time that it was some police officers in the barber shop and they were saying, man, it ain't right the way they doing this case. You know, I hear a lot of people, a lot of parents say what they would have done and what they wouldn't have done, but what they need to be saying is asking God whatever his plan is for them in life, to make sure it ain't what I just went through.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Abdul, man, appreciate you coming in, and please just stay safe out here.
Hey, man.
And, you moving away, I thought was great, because I don't know how many people I've talked to, from Fulio to Mo3 to FBG Duck, where I would tell them it's really the best situation for you is to move away. And they would always say, nah, it's cool. I know the streets. I know how to move.
Yeah.
And then shortly afterwards, you hear of a tragedy.
Right.
You don't know what that next person is capable of.
No, you can't. You can't.
And you don't know who your enemies are when you're high profile. They all know who you are, but you don't know who they are.
Right. You can't underestimate them now. You can't underestimate them, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate you having me, man.
Absolutely, man. I wish you all the best. And like I said, a very tough situation. And we talked in the very beginning. And I said, I understand why you made your choice. I'm not criticizing you for it. I think it was a very tough situation for any person, much less any father, to make.
Yeah.
And ultimately, you made the decision that you felt was best for the situation. And, at the end of the day, you have to live with it, and you stand on it. and you have more kids to raise, and you have a long life to live, man. And I wish you all the best.
Yes, sir.
That's what it is. Peace.
Hey.